The fifth assessment report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change finds, beyond reasonable doubt, that the Earth's climate is warming. Since the 1950s, the rate of global warming has been unprecedented compared to previous decades and millennia. The fifth assessment report presents a long list of changes that scientists have observed around the world. Since the mid-19th century, the average increase in the temperature of the Earth's surface has been 1 degree Celsius centigrade. But at the turn of the 2000, the predictions of IPCC are very alarming. It ranges from 2 to 4 degrees Celsius increase by the turn of this 21st century. Key risks for Asia and around the world are increased riverine, coastal and urban flooding, leading to widespread damage to infrastructure, livelihoods and settlements, increased risk of heat-related mortality, and increased risk of drought-related water and food shortage causing malnutrition. Mitigation and adaptation. These are the two strategies humans should employ to combat climate change and global warming. So mitigation, it's spoken very often, we understand, but adaptation, we are ignorant about it. But adaptation will bring immediate benefits and reduce the impacts of climate change in India, South Asia, and also around the world. Adaptation is the only effective option to manage the inevitable impacts of climate change that mitigation cannot reduce. The IPCC describes adaptation as the process of adjustment to actual or expected climate and its effects. Through adaptation, societies and communities can seek to moderate the harm of current and future climate risks or to take advantage of new opportunities. In South Asia, especially in India, rapid population growth, urbanization, economic growth, and changes in land use could interact with climate change to increase vulnerabilities. The effects of climate change depends as much on the inherent vulnerability of social and ecological systems as on the magnitude of climate changes. Reducing vulnerability to climate change will be important in securing the health and prosperity of South Asian nations and the regions as the whole. Strengthening the links between development and building resilience could help to improve the level of adaptation in Asia and reduce the risk of maladaptation or causing unintended adverse consequences. Effective adaptation strategies can and should strengthen livelihoods, enhance well-being and human security, and reduce poverty today. No regrets or low regrets adaptation measures such as increasing access to information and resources, improving health services, diversifying cropping systems, strengthening access to land, credit, and other resources for poor and marginalized groups, and making water and land management and governance more effective or good for development, irrespective of changes in climate. Adaptation brings benefits both today and in the future. South Asia has much to gain from adaptation actions like disaster risk reduction and social protection that reduce the impacts of warming that are already being felt and build resilience around critical sectors such as water, energy, and agriculture. The IPCC emphasizes that integrating adaptation into planning and decision making can create many synergies with development. Levels of capacity to adapt or adaptive capacity in South Asia are generally low. Although this varies within and across countries of the region, society's capacity to adapt to climate change impacts is influenced by economic, demographic, health, education, infrastructure, governance, and natural factors. Heavy losses from extreme weather suggest that current strategies are unable to deal with existing climatic threats. National policies can sometimes disregard or undermine cultural or traditional practices that make an important contribution to local climate adaptation. Poorly conceived development programs and sectoral adaptation strategy can lower resilience in other sectors or ecosystems. Incomplete, under-resourced, and fragmented institutional frameworks translate into largely ad hoc projects, which are often donor-driven. Overall, evidence suggests that South Asian countries' adaptive capacity to manage complex social and ecological change, especially at local government level, is weak. However, South Asia has inherent strengths that will be important for climate adaptation. These include a wealth of natural resources and well-developed social networks. Local and indigenous knowledge underpin long-standing traditional practices for managing climate variability through, for example, diversifying crops and livelihoods, migration, and small-scale enterprises. The extent to which such strategies will be sufficient to deal with future changes is uncertain. I wish you all a successful adaptation. Thank you.